I just got back from a full week of teaching at Parklands. It was really weird not to see you all there, but I did see Olivia there today. That was lovely. And I saw you, Lily, on the way home from school. Hope you're all well. Okay, so back with Anjali Rouse, the boy at the back of the class. The last chapter I read was really short, and it ended up with talking about the adventure and about how much trouble they were going to get into. So let's find out what's happened. Chapter 16, The Royal Letter. It's brilliant! Genius! If that doesn't work, then nothing will. Michael, Tom and Josie all looked pretty impressed when I explained the greatest idea in the world to them on the bus to school the next day. Tom looked down at my diagram and eagerly pointed to the letter and pencil. "This bit's easy," he said. "But do you think she'll really get it?" I nodded. "She has to. It's the Royal Mail, so she has to get all her letters. It's the law." "But she's the Queen. What if she's not home because she's somewhere else doing her duties and things and doesn't get in time?" asked Michael. "It's already Friday, remember?" Michael was right. The greatest idea in the world would only work if the Queen was at home. She was always on the news going to lots of places to collect flowers from people, and I hadn't thought about what we would do if she didn't get the letter at all. "It's okay," said Josie reassuringly. "If we post the letter today, then it's get to her house by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's only Saturday, and the gates don't close until next Friday. That gives us 6 whole days. So if she's not home, her butler will just open the letter instead, and he'll let her know that she needs to come right away to talk to the special police and the Prime Minister." "Yes," said Michael. "Exactly." "Yeah, it's going to be brilliant," said Tom as we jumped off the bus and walked to the school gates. "There's no way she won't help us, not after she reads about Amit." "But he mustn't find out," said Michael, tripping over his shoelaces, but too excited to stop and tie them up. "Yeah," I nodded. "He can't know, not until we're really sure that the Queen has found his parents." "Don't worry, we can keep a secret. And maybe if it does work, then we'll all get to meet the Queen," grinned Tom. "I'll have to get more hair gel if we do," he added, stiffening his hair with his fingers so that it was spikier than ever. "Maybe we'll all get a medal for helping to keep the gates open," said Josie, kicking her football along. "And Amit too, for being so brave." Michael smiled. His smile always goes to one side when he's thinking about something that makes him really, really happy. It must be because he's so happy that his mouth doesn't know which way to go. "Yeah," he nodded. "One of those star-shaped medals. And if we did get one, we could pin it to our jumpers every day. Or, if it's on a ribbon, we could wear it around our necks," he said, touching the collar of his school jumper. I tried to imagine what it would be like to meet the Queen and to be given a star-shaped medal, but the thought made my mind go blank and I couldn't imagine anything at all. Sometimes a thought is so big that it can't squeeze all of itself into my head no matter how hard I try, and the more I try, the more it makes my head ache. Uncle Lenny says that's where headaches all come from, when you've tried to think of too many thoughts, or a giant thought tries to get in but it doesn't fit. He gets headaches all the time because he says when there's no one in the taxi with him, he doesn't have anything else to do but drive around all night and think deep thoughts that light up his mind. Maybe that's why the front of his head is always so shiny. I don't want to get a headache, so I left the thought of the star-shaped medal alone. All that day, whenever we knew Amit couldn't hear us, we talked about the greatest idea in the world and all the ways the Queen might help him and his family too. Amit caught us whispering together in the playground though, and looked at us in a confused way. "What are you saying?" he asked, looking at all of us. "Nothing," said Michael nervously. "We were just talking about homework," said Josie. "Big homework," I added quickly, crossing my fingers behind my back. "Your homework is small and easy, see? And ours is big and lots more." "Okay," Amit said slowly, but I didn't think he sounded like he believed us. After that, we all whispered an agreement not to speak about the plan until home time, which was when we planned to write the royal letter. But it seemed that the more excited we got about putting the greatest idea in the world into action, the longer it took for the day to pass. And that afternoon felt like the longest afternoon any of us had ever had. I kept looking up at the classroom clock to see if its hands had moved, and I could see Tom and Michael and Josie doing the same thing. Then finally, just as we were about to give up hope of them ever reaching 3:15, the school bell rang for home time, and Mrs. Khan said, "Right everyone, off you go. See you all Monday." We all hurriedly waved bye to Amit, and instead of going with him to meet his foster mum like we usually did, we ran to the bus stop as fast as we could. There's a wall behind the bus stop, just long enough to fit 5 people. After we all sat down, Josie gave me a piece of yellow paper she'd taken from her class tray, and which was brand new, and Tom gave me his very best handwriting pen to use, and Michael gave me his workbook to lean on. He guessed we'd have to miss 2 buses home, but it didn't matter, not when we were trying to write the most royal letter any of us had ever written before. Everyone said I should write it because I was the best at spelling. I was pretty nervous, but Tom and Josie and Michael all helped me choose what to say, so in the end, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. This is what the royal letter looked like. I'll read it to you. Your Royal Majesty of the United Queendom of England. Yes, it does say Queendom. Please, Mrs. Majesty, there is a new boy in our class called Amit, and he's a refugee boy from Syria, where there is war and lots of bullies throwing bombs and hurting people. Amit had to get on a boat and walked a long way to come to our school, and had to leave his mum and dad behind in tents too. Amit needs to find them before the government closes all the gates. We thought because you own the country and the police and the Prime Minister has to listen to you, that you could please ask your special police and the Prime Minister to keep all the gates open and help Amit to find his family. We know the gates will close on Friday, so this is an emergency. You can find us at Nelson Primary School, and Mrs. Khan is our teacher, and Miss Hemsey is Amit's special teacher. Please let us know if you can help as soon as you get this letter. Love from me, 9 3/4. Tom, 9, Michael, 9 1/2, and Josie, 9 1/4. When we had finished, Michael held it up to the light and gave it a nod. I don't really know why people like holding things up to the light, but I guess it's because they want to see them, through them, and make sure they're okay. I was glad because even though my writing had gone wonky, everyone said it looked good. It was the longest letter I had ever written in one go, and my hand felt sore, so I jumped off the wall and jiggled it about. In the distance, I could see the bus coming. "Have you got a new envelope to put it in, and stamps?" asked Tom anxiously as we got onto the bus. "Yup, Mum's got loads," I said, "and I'll post it by 5 o'clock from the postbox in front of my flat. Don't forget to write special letter on the envelope in purple colouring pen," said Josie. "Purple's her favourite colour. And make sure the stamp says first on it," said Michael. Think it'll get to the Queen? When I got home that afternoon, while Mrs. Abbey was making me fish fingers for my tea, I quietly pulled open the big top drawer in the large chest standing in our living room. This drawer is called our used less things drawer, because it's always full of things we have lots of but hardly ever use, like paper clips and spare staples and elastic bands and sellotape and bright yellow post-it notes and bits of blank paper. I found an envelope and then carefully took out Mum's small wooden stamp box. Inside it are all the nearly new stamps that Mum's collected from letters she's been sent in the post. Most stamps are marked with something called a postmark, which means you can't use them again. But sometimes they aren't. When that happens, Mum claps her hands like it's Christmas morning, carefully peels the stamp away so that it looks just as brand new as possible, and puts it in her stamp box. I picked out 3 that had the nicest pictures with the colour purple in them, and a first in the corner. I knew that most letters just had 1 stamp on them, but I thought 3 might make the letter get to the Queen faster, especially since there was a chance I might miss the 5 o'clock post. Trying to keep things a secret when there's a grown-up around always makes everything take twice as long. I told Mrs. Abbey I was doing my homework early and coloured in lots of purple swirls on the front of the envelope, and then, just before I put the letter inside it, I thought the Queen should know about Amit's sister in the sea, so I wrote, P.S. Amit had a little sister called Syra, but she died in the sea, so he needs to find his mum and dad even more specially. Please keep this a secret. I knew what had happened to Armit's sister was a secret, but last year Mr. Thompson told us that the Queen has to keep state secrets. And if she can keep secrets about the state of everything, I knew she could keep Armit's secrets safe for him too. Oh, what good friends they are, writing to the Queen for him. Let's hope the Queen reads it. Bye-bye.